Greetings, Eric Bakker. Thanks for coming back. We're going to talk about sugar, the sweet topic everyone likes. If you think back, sugar used to be very, very expensive commodity. Okay, a long time ago, we're talking maybe the 1600s or between the 15 and 1600s particularly, sugar was like gold dust, like it was so expensive. People didn't really consume sugar, only royalty, only wealthy people. And of course, as trade increased, things changed slowly over time. But what really changed the sugar industry, a big shake-up, was probably in the late 1950s, early 60s, when they could finally learn really how to get corn and corn syrup and starchy foods like that, and then split them up, break them, and then extract fructose and glucose and sugars out of these thick kind of syrups. And many researchers also point out the obesity crisis, literally is in line with the high fructose corn syrup production. And in the United States, like, obesity is out of control. 70% of the population now are overweight or obese, and it won't be long before 100% of the population are that way. So I just had a very interesting study up on high fructose corn syrup, looking at the manufacturers, and Cargill, I think, is the biggest manufacturer of this stuff, and it goes into cereals, it goes into soda drinks, it goes into candy bars, snack bars, protein bars, like just about everything. Other studies I've read say that between 50 to 70% of all foods now available in supermarkets contain high fructose corn syrup. This stuff's crap. It's total crap. It's really bad. When I was a kid and used to buy chewing gum, it had cane sugar in it. Now it's got high fructose corn syrup in it. So I really don't like high fructose corn syrup. What the liver does with the fructose is it splits it, it breaks it up, and one component becomes a triglyceride, which clogs up your arteries. So it pushes you into a stroke or into a cardiovascular, heart potential. So it's not really something you want to be consuming constantly. Okay, there are so many studies now that show soft drinks with high fructose corn syrup now are linked to obesity. Over 80 studies that I've looked at. I looked at a meta-analysis, which is a study, conducted regarding a whole bunch of studies, and there's overwhelming proof that people who drink 1 to 2 soda drinks per day will just pile on the weight over time. So if you're watching this and you've got a weight issue and you're drinking a soda drink every day, honestly, you need beating over the head with a soft object like a pillow. Just pum, pum, pum. I'll do it. Someone needs to beat you into submission. This is not really good stuff to constantly drink. You'll end up with diabetes, stroke, heart disease, goodness knows what. So sugar is addictable. It's a highly addictive substance, and once you get used to sugar, particularly at a young age, and you get used to eating it time and time again, it gets harder and harder to break that cycle. Okay, I've never been a big sugar addict. I've always been a fruit addict, but more recently a berry addict. I've gone into the berries. They contain sugars, but not really like oranges and other really high sweet fruits like watermelons, for example. There are different forms of sugar you can get, so don't always confuse them. If we get cane, sugar cane, crush it and get the juice out of that, as opposed to white table sugar, you can't compare both substances. One's healthy, one's not healthy. So this is where a lot of eating disorders from people come from, unfortunately. I just read some studies on, analysis on eating disorders, and many young girls, unfortunately, they look at food and say it's got sugar in it, can't touch it. So then they start analyzing every kind of label and, everything that they eat, and they come to the point where they realize that most foods have got sugar in them. So they avoid these kind of foods. And they start having a one-sided diet, often like a strong, high-fat vegan diet or diets like that. And they end up getting gut issues. They end up getting psychological issues, and those things tend to become ingrained over the years, and then the person ends up in their 30s, 40s and 50s with a long-term eating problem, which basically psychologically scarred, all because they were focused and anally concerned about sugar or fat when they were young. This is not really a good thing to do. So be wary of sugar. You shouldn't take it out of your diet, but you should really try and follow the line where sugar in your diet should not be seen as a good thing to have. Okay, natural sugars. Some people still point the finger at fruit and say, but hang on, hasn't it got fructose in it? Isn't it bad? Why are we eating fruit with fructose in it when you're telling us that high fructose corn syrup is bad stuff? Well, There's a big difference between high fructose corn syrup and something growing on a tree, isn't there? There's a big difference if you think about it. Nature doesn't rip people off. Science rips people off. And it does so very carefully by manipulating data and information, often for financial gains for large companies. It may sound harsh saying that, but some of the discussions I've had with food psychologists really make the hair on my neck stand up. I'll tell you guys that story one day. That was quite a remarkable story regarding, potato chips and food psychology. But yeah, just watch out, because big food companies out there are really obviously pushing and promoting this stuff hardcore, just like the tobacco companies did. But if you follow the line of eating natural foods, preparing foods yourself at home, trying to only buy toilet paper from the supermarket, and even then be careful, because they could put sugar in toilet paper, I've been told. So yeah, common sense, and that's what this channel's all about. It's common sense. Remember the phrase, if you really like something, or if someone says, I love the taste of that, it usually means it's got a lot of sugar in it, right? I've never heard someone say, I love the taste of that, and it's sour or bitter. It's always the sweet stuff. So when a relative or a friend says, oh, I love the taste of that, grab it and then have a look at what level the word sugar comes into it. Okay, but they'll call it cane sugar, or they'll call it some fancy name. But you'll often find that the foods that people love the most have got sugar as one of the top ingredients. Those people need moving again into berries, or sweet treats that are natural, that don't contain man-made or artificial kind of sugars in them. In time, high fructose corn syrup will one day be seen for as the poison that it really is. It should not be used for human consumption, in my opinion. But that's my take on it. Okay. Anyway, click on the link below if you want my free 17-page Candida shopping list. And thanks for tuning in.